Hello students and Namaste everyone. Our today's topic for your standard 9th is Social Science chapter number 7 Post India Independence. So already we have completed two parts for this chapter, right? And this is going to be our third and the last part. So we were left from page number 52. A small part was left, right? So that small part we'll discuss in this lecture. In the previous lecture we had seen that how after getting independence, what all problems India had to face, how the political leaders like Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel made efforts to join all the princely states, that is how all the Indian princely states were brought together and a Union of India was formed, and the three states which were not willing to join India were Jammu and Kashmir, Junagadh and Hyderabad. So how even they were brought under the Union of India. Then we had seen how the colonies developed by the Portuguese and the French, right? After the Britishers left India, still the colonies of the Portuguese and French were there in India. So again how negotiations were done with them and how even those areas were brought under the Union of India, that all we had seen. Then further we had seen that how the amalgamation or mixture or the different small states were brought together on the basis of linguistic thing, that is languages, right? So on the basis of that regionalism we had seen that. So the last topic what is left for our today's lecture is scientific and technological development, right? So post independence India. So let us find it out that what is the contribution of India in science and technology. India has made extraordinary achievements in the field of science and technology in the last half century. Last half century means the period of 50 years. Looking at reasonably limited resources and less literacy. Limited resources, and along with that the literacy rate in India was quite low, right? So with that literacy rate and limited resources also, India's growth in the field of science and technology in comparison with other developed countries is unique. That means even though having limited resources and the people of India, they were not much literate, so with less literacy ratio also our country had developed quite well in the field of science and technology. After independence, the distinguished national leaders, distinguished means we can say well reputed, right? So the distinguished national leaders and scientists like Dr. Homi Bhabha, Dr. Raja Ramanna, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, Dr. C.V. Raman, and in the field of engineering Sir M. Vishwarya, Sam Pritoda, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, India's former Prime Minister and the creator of the successful metro railway project, creator E. Sridharan, are those engineers, scientists and technocrats. So meaning of technocrat means usually a person or a scientist, right, who is having a technical expert and in the field of politics and industry, right? So that person is known as technocrat. Okay, so engineers, scientists and technocrats who had contributed remarkably in the field of science and technology, right? So these were the people who had contributed a lot. Indian Institute of Science, Indian Institute of Technology, Indian Space Research Organization and Physical Research Laboratory are the glorious examples. So these are some of the reputed institutes or the organizations of India which is world famous. Then next what is written is women of India too played a noticeable role, and below given is the list. That means even the women's contribution was noteworthy. So who were those women who had contributed for India? So let us find it out. Janki Amma, right? Flora and fauna. You all might have heard this word. Flora means vegetation, fauna means animals. right? So in the field of flora, that is vegetation. Then Azima Chatterjee in the field of chemistry. Dr. Indira Ahuja in the field of medicine. Shakuntala Devi, again we all know, a movie is also released related to Shakuntala Devi, who was a great mathematician, and she was also known as human computer because she could do large calculations, very big calculations on her fingertips, right? Even if you use calculator or computer, it would take more time, but she used to give quick answers, so she was known as human computer. Kalpana Chawla, who was an astronaut. Sunita Williams, again an astronaut, right? So these all are the women of India who have contributed in the field of science and technology. So women of India have contributed at large in other sectors too, which brought further progress to our country. At the time of our independence, we were dependent on others for food grains, right? At the time of independence, we were dependent on others for food grains, okay? So in making us self-reliant in this area, today huge dams, lakes and canals have played a major role. We have been making use of modern agricultural technology to increase agricultural production for the country, right? So this is regarding the agricultural field. Again, we all know that at one point of time even we were dependent on agriculture. Though India is known as agrarian country, agricultural country, we had to depend on other nations for our imports of agricultural goods, right? But recently, due to all the facilities, irrigation facilities and latest fertilizers and chemicals and all, right, we had seen that in the year 1970s, I think so, 70-72, we had a green revolution. So after that there was a lot of buffer stock, and till date or till today we are having enough quantity of food grains available with us, so we don't need to import it or borrow from other nation. So what is given is, we have been able to achieve green revolution. Agricultural institutions, laboratories and agriculture universities have been established to achieve growth in agricultural science, right? So for bringing green revolution again for the another time, or to progress in the field of agriculture, government has established so many different universities related to the agriculture, right? And a lot of incentive is given to the students who study over there. Next is, India has indeed made a significant headway in nuclear science and technology. India has established research institutes and laboratories for peaceful purpose of its nuclear power. Nuclear scientists and engineers have constructed ultra-modern nuclear reactors and power stations through which we can generate electricity, right? Because earlier people thought that nuclear power or energy can be used only for destruction, but our Indians, they have made the use of nuclear power for generating even electricity, and power stations are built up. By successfully conducting nuclear tests twice at Pokhran in Rajasthan, we have been successful in making nuclear bombs, right? Again, it is very much important just to show around the world that we are also equally capable and powerful. India had conducted nuclear test in which it was successful, right? Again, for that you all might have seen the movie Parmanu, right? Again, a very great movie where this same incident is mentioned, okay? Next page, page number 53 and the last page. India's achievement in a very short time in space research technology is spectacular. Spectacular means amazing. We have developed space shuttles, geosynchronous, right? Space shuttles, geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle, which is in short known as GSLV, to launch satellites in our outer space, right? So again, to release the space shuttles, we need a kind of instrument or vehicle which is known as GSLV. right? We also have launched satellites in outer space, satellites like Aryabhat in the year 1975, Bhaskar in 1979, Rohini in 1979, etc. are useful in successfully conducting nuclear tests, in telecasting, education, weather, and getting information about minerals through remote sensing system. Right? Again, we all know why the satellites are released, because once they reach the outer space, right? So all the things like the live matches, live news, everything what we can get is with the help of those satellites. Again, weather forecasting is done, right? So in this way we have progressed a lot. Okay, in the last one decade means 10 years, we have made significant progress in the field of telecommunication and information technology through computer, internet, mobile, smartphone, tablet, fax, email, Twitter, and computer, WhatsApp. And so now India is considered in the race of developed nations. Okay, so again India is moving towards changing its status from developing to a developed nation. Application of computers is successful in administration at large, mainly for indirect use in environment preservation and carbon credit. Now, what is carbon credit? Again, it is a very important concept and we need to understand it, right? So what is carbon credit? It is a permit which allows a country or an organization to produce a certain amount of carbon emissions, and which can be traded if the full allowance is not used, right? So again, we all know that each and every country, whether it is developing or a developed nation, they all have their own industries, a lot of vehicles and all, and they produce a certain amount of carbon dioxide, or they emit carbon contents, which is known as and to reduce that, or efforts to reduce that, is known as carbon credit. Okay, so a permit which allows a country or organization to produce a certain amount of carbon emissions, and which can be treated if the full allowance is not used. So that is carbon credit. The use of biotechnology in industries, energy, agriculture, health, and the continuous research and development in that field has resulted in the maxims like Digital India and Make in India, world famous, right? So Digital India and Make in India, because of those maxims, it has become world famous, right? Marine research, marine means related to the sea or the water bodies. So marine or marine research and continuous development, human resource development and harbor development. Harbor means usually the ports where the ship are halted. Okay, so harbor development, including education and health sectors too, are continuously involved in making progress. 21st June has been declared as World Yoga Day by the United Nations, which shows the glowing future of India, right? So this is all about your chapter number 7. Okay, so here our chapter gets over, and along with that our today's lecture also. So that's it for today, everyone. I thank you all for listening to me carefully. Take care of yourself, stay healthy, stay safe. Bye everyone.